Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on February 8th. Nope, that's wrong. March 8th, 2024, at approximately 4:26 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I build myself as a spiritual guide because I because the tools I offer are the same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life, and the philosophies of life I talk about are the exact same philosophies I guide my virtual every movement with. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me, and they have worked for literally thousands of other people with varying degrees of success, depending on their own personal efforts. Now, before I get into it, I noticed something here, which, as per usual, I forgot to close the door because we don't really need this one open. So, we are going to be looking at spiritual contracts that everybody says, oh, you're here on a contract to this world for this lifetime, which is actually functionally accurate. But what is a spiritual contract? Who is it with? And what's going on with it? But before we go into that, we have Shadow and Sun in with the gold. Shadow, hopefully things are going well. I know you're usually busy. Lord knows I've been busy. I actually just, and this is kind of a pointless piece of information, just went down to a pet shop and ordered a corner a terrarium piece for a landscape. I figure I might just as well expand because I don't have enough things going on. So I figure, what the hell, might as well do something extra. Then we have Joe Stewart in with the silver. Joe, how's it going? Hopefully things are going well on your end. And we have Chad Smith in with the bronze. And oh, I forgot to mention, right at the top there, you'll notice I've already got Shadow's link in the Shadow's live stream. So absolutely give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of the thing. Now that same routine with Chad. Okay, I've just at the bottom here, I've got Chad's link put in place to his live stream and archives. Again, drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of the thing. Now, then we have Storm and Shadow who's in with honorable mention. How's it going there, Storm? Hopefully things have worked out well for you. You know, we are making a lot of headway on a number of different projects I've been working on. I've been doing my best to keep you abreast of that. Well, that was cold. And Malo, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And we have Steve Knox popping in. Steve, how's your day going? You know, I'm looking at this whole situation and I'm happy to see we are climbing. By the way, where is that little binder of mine? Ouch, that hurt a lot. Right in here. That one to do. Now, this will give you an idea of just how well things are working on my end. This is literally a list of the books I'm working on simultaneously. I've got Yldrbac, The Latter Years, Return to Paradise. Closing in on finally finishing it off. I'm working on the second printing of Race of the Worlds. And that is taking some time, but I'll have to look it up. There's been a couple of changes with that. LA, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Then I have 2 coloring books in the process, in the middle of being completed. One of which I've got all the pictures into. I just have to figure out how to resize the pictures a little. Things didn't go quite as well as I would have liked, but it's just about ready to go to print. And yes, the coloring book is of pictures from Races of the World. I've got a second one I'm already about halfway through selecting pictures for. Then I've got another novel set going on that I'm writing. Okay. Plus, of course, where are we? Plus a co-authoring job that I'm working on. And of course, Positive Perspectives. I'm in the middle of writing for April. Oh, I'm hoping March already went out. Yeah, March already went out. I'm now working on April's. And I've started work on Believe in your job and Follow Your Dreams. It's not like I didn't have enough to go. In answer to your question there, Malu, I'm doing well enough. Thank you very much. Things have been a little on the hectic side, but that seems to be normal for me. But what is this thing we call a soul contract? Well, let's be clear. Number one, that contract is real, but it is not a contract with anybody else. It is literally a contract with yourself. And I can't see a dang thing, which is always fun. Of course, we know how that works. One of the drawbacks to having eyes that don't work entirely well. But when you take a look at the contract, you're talking about what you came to this world to experience or to gain wisdom around. Now, the obvious one that many people have chosen. Yeah, pretty much there, LA. It's funny. I was taking a medication that was supposed to help sugar levels. Well, that was a cute thought. Side effect, blindness. I like it. So for some weird reason, I figure I'll change my diet and cut the sugar levels that way. Cut my diet, increase my exercise, and change my diet that way instead of going completely blind. Because I'll tell you, in 2 months, I went from being able to see the whites of my son's eyes across the room to not being able to see the big monitor unless I was 6 inches in front of it. Now, when we take a look at the contract, okay, you look at what you came for. Now, the obvious one is if you decided this lifetime you desired to gain wisdom around cancer. Okay, so that's what you're coming in for. Your contract is to learn about cancer. Based on your actions, your choices, and the people you hang around with, the situations you hang around with, will determine whether or not you learn about cancer by developing it and living with it, or by going to work with people that are dealing with it. Yeah, no doubt there, Joe. Joe goes, I wear my eyeglasses now around my neck on lanyard. Beats sitting on them. LA, it's funny you should mention that. I was actually that's one of the things I was looking to get into today. LA Moon has just asked, can the life contract be changed? Absolutely. Okay. Now, the neat part about it is you can change the contract anytime you desire to. Remember, a contract, if you're making it with somebody else, you sign a contract, and if both of you agree to change the contract, to change the parameters, you can do it. Same applies to a soul contract. Okay, You get to this world and you go, I've ended up, I picked the wrong door to come through, and there is no way I'm going to be learning about there's no way I am going to be learning about cancer, or more importantly, cancer is not the biggest thing I got to worry about. I got here expecting to learn about cancer, and what I've got is a problem that is much bigger that demands my attention right away. With this in mind, you can right then go, amendment. I'm going to go after this. And this is what this whole thing about planning is. Okay, remember this fine little list? This is your new contract. Okay, but you'll notice that a new contract starts off kind of like this one. You'll notice there's not a whole lot written there. See, even if I bring it closer, I got nothing written. The reason for that is it's a blank contract. So yes, you can absolutely change it. The whole catch to it is figuring out what you desire to do with your life. Because the whole thing about coming here is the one contract you cannot change is the one that you made when your soul was first born. Okay, that's the one that you're literally born with one thing in mind. Remember who and what you are. Go out, find all the different parts of you. Anything you don't understand, anything at all, is the missing part of you. Because the thing you got to realize, or that it would be beneficial to realize, every single one of you, literally, and this is going to sound dangerously arrogant, every single one of you literally knows everything there is to know. You already do. What you don't recall at this point is where you put all the knowledge. So anytime you're asking a question to better yourself, whether we're talking about doing new research, remembering a new skill or an old skill, doesn't matter. Every time you add something to your database, you're remembering more about who and what you are. That is your overall contract. But again, that's a contract with you. Now, somebody put it the other day, and I hopefully made the right note of it, but that change is the only path towards, towards success. If you do not change what you're doing, you're going to stagnate. Now, when I first got here, I desired to figure out what people were up to. I mistakenly thought if I stay quiet, people will grab a brain and start learning. Take a look at the society today. Getting a brain is not the strongest suit there. Okay, so the contract itself is taking a look at your life as it is and change whatever you're currently not content with. Now, sometimes you require a hand up. Okay, and this is why I've started doing a few things on my end. And when I get down to the different places, i.e., going to Reno in May, looks like I'm probably heading for Texas in July. And yeah, I know that's the worst time of year to travel as far as prices go. Price isn't a big concern for me. I mean, it's something I'm aware of, but it is not something I'm going to gauge my life on. So when you take a look at the things you desire to do, the changes you would like to see. Now, I'm going to ask you a very direct question there, LA. Okay, since you're the one that brought up the issue of can a life contract be changed? Did you have an idea in mind as to what you would like to change it to? Okay, that's just a curiosity thing on my part. Because I know from my standpoint, I have lived my life hiding from people, hiding from life, and subsequently living day to day, barely keeping a roof over my head. I'm done with that. I'm aiming at the cream of the crop. I'm looking at a very affluent lifestyle. Okay, this is my goal for me, not for anybody else. Okay, so I've decided that's where I'm heading. Oh, there we go. LA goes, I want to walk away from some of my extended family. Those I live with now, I'm okay with. Bonus. Okay, there's a neat thing here. Okay, number one, and this is the easiest thing in the world to set in motion, but you gotta dig your heels in and literally decide you're not doing it anymore. Okay, literally, tonight. I mean, you can do it right now if you'd like. You literally find a reflective surface, look in the eyes of the lady looking back at you, and you literally tell her, I give you permission to let the members of my extended family carry on with their own lives with no more functional obligation to me. Okay, by doing that, you're giving yourself permission to let the family go. Bear in mind, extended family or bloodline family doesn't matter. Okay, they are part of the journey, but only for so long as you desire to have them there. That's the real kicker to it. All you got to do is give yourself permission to let them go and then cut contact. Absolutely, if you want to be diplomatically a little bit more adept than I am, let them know you're not dealing with their drama anymore. Now, they will complain. This is where figuring out how to take that neat little phone. You got the phone in your hand, you're talking to somebody, and you go, no, I'm done. Have a good life. Click and put the phone down. Sounds rude, but it's so much nicer than saying, flock off, I don't want to see you again. See, I told you I can be diplomatic. The problem you run into, LA, is you're a natural healer by your very nature. You're a healer. You have been for a very, very long time. And the thing you've got to remember, these people are not changing, first and foremost. And you cannot protect somebody from themselves. Okay? Be wonderful if you could, but it just doesn't work that way. Whoop, I got to deal with that. Oh, that did not work well. The reality is you cannot protect them from them. Yeah. And, the thing you got to remember there, LA, bloodline, sorry, you're stuck with them. In other words, no matter what you do, you're going to be tied to your bloodline family. Period. No options. Now that means the bloodline. That does not mean bloodline spouses or bloodline children. Okay. It does mean bloodline children. Adopted children doesn't mean. Okay. Bloodline is the only thing that you cannot choose to no longer have. You're stuck with that part. But extended family, it is choice and choice only. Now, of course, many times we make the mistake, like when you look at marriage, for instance, you get married till death do you part. It's a normal phrase. Okay, what people don't realize is that's the death of the emotional connection, not the physical body. Okay, same as extended family. If you're finding somebody hanging around you is too much of a problem, oh, well, that's no problem. When it comes to your life choices, you've got a wonderful young lad there. Just take the reins off. Like literally take the muzzle off and tell him to deal with it. They'll never bother you again. I mean, he may not have the most diplomatic approach, but he will get the point across. But all you got to do is realistically take his muzzle off, and then you sit there in your chair when he's dealing with him. You're going la 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 la. Problem solved. You don't have to deal with it. Steve, the answer is yes, you do. Okay, Steve's asking, don't we learn from our interactions, be it good or bad, to fulfill our life or soul contracts? And the answer to that is yes. But remember, if one of the things you're striving to learn, striving to recall, is, and this is taking it to extremes, you desire to recall how to work with nuclear reactor, but you're 3 years old, you've never seen a match. Is it a good idea to carry on trying to work with a nuclear reactor? Some things you postpone. Yes, you're here to remember all aspects of you, not all at once. Okay, the trick is, as you remember more of you, you'll figure out where the boundaries are that you're ready to deal with. If you're not ready, okay, and this becomes blatantly obvious in intimate relationships. If one party or the other says, no, I'm not ready, that does not mean, oh, try and coerce me and assure me everything will be okay and talk me into it. It means, no, not ready. It's a black and white. It's only 2 letters long. Let's figure it out. Ain't that hard. Where it comes to dealing with people that you're not prepared to cope with. Oh, yeah, but that's the thing, LA. LA goes, Frank told me he'd deal with him. My thought is World War III is a picnic compared to him ticked off. Well, the funny thing is, it's a bigger problem if he knows that he's trying to protect you and do things that you're going to feel a little more comfortable with. If you just can't take the muzzle off and walk away, he'll walk up one side of them and down the other with a baseball bat and cleats. And they will leave you guys alone. They may be afraid to come down the block anymore, but they'll leave you alone. And that would be the important factor. Because you got to remember, Frank has one goal at this point. Yeah, pretty much. Frank has one goal: to take care of you and make sure you're healthy, happy, and whole. Not to make everybody else happy. Okay? And quite frankly, I can't say that I blame him. You got to remember, Sodom was an absolute blast, if you remember the way that went. Nuclear blast, but airburst. I took something, there it is. I'm like, what did I do with my water? Put it right there out of reach. Yeah, and you'll find that Frank, the other thing you'll find, and no problem there, LA, the other thing you'll find with Frank, you let him say what's on his mind, and they won't want to say what's on theirs. Okay, that will also bring Frank's stress level down to a functional level. And rest assured, that means both of you are going to sleep better. Oh, since I got you guys both in the house, I got to show you something. As soon as I figure out what I did with it. There it is. Oh, no, that's not what I was looking for. There it is. This is what I was looking for. This is what I was looking for here, guys. And this is literally to you and Frank LA. That is a dice box, in case you couldn't tell. things went a little funny, but that's a complete set of dice. That's why I was asking you guys this afternoon if the two of you were actually gamers. See, something I was planning on working with didn't pan out quite the way I was intending. A lot of things I've worked on haven't planned out and worked out the way I was intending. But that's what I was referring to when I asked you if you guys were gamers. The neat part about all of this is when we take a look at your contract, okay, I came back for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. I spent the first 55 years of my life ignoring that. Okay, totally ignoring it. But now I'm here. Now I'm coming. Thank you so much there, Storm. And what ended up happening is I had a whole collection of things done, and I just decided that, like I mentioned before, I am looking at removing stuff I no longer have an overabundance of use for. That's one of the things. It was set up for one reason, but the reason it was set up went kind of the way of the dodo bird. But with that in mind, that's just one of the things that's going the way of the dodo bird now. But here's a flat out offer for you. Would you like one? Or more to the point, would you like two? I.e., one for you, one for LA. I'm coming down anyway. It's really not a big run on my end. I'm not coming down with a whole lot. Okay, that solves that problem. Okay, they will come down with me when I come down this year. Yeah, it looks like the nice part about it is I'm going to come down with a whole bunch of, as a matter of fact, let me grab that. I made a list of stuff I've got to make sure I've got in the bin. Go to here, we go to holiday. I think there's a song by that name. It's just, I've got way too much stuff in my house right now that is now just a case of collecting clutter that I really don't desire to keep. But it's also, frankly, too nice to just throw in the bin. Pop that out of the way. And deal with that. There we go. Added to my list of stuff that I've got to make sure comes down with me. One thing you will find, especially when you're aiming at changing the way your contract is laid out, what are you here to do? Well, what you're going to find in my case is very simple. I'm going to build this empire. I'm going to build a publishing company so that people like you can get your work put in print. Okay. And I've got a number of things, like when I come down to Texas, I've got a number of things I'm doing, not only just from a visiting standpoint, but from a, literally from a work standpoint as well. There we go. That solves that. The neat part about it is you desire your life to be different. It's time to change it. Okay. And it just dawned on me something I've got to look at is right there behind me. Haven't got it there yet, but I'll get to it. But the contract that you came here to do, it is a contract with yourself. Okay, now there's an old saying that goes, people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. Now, what you've got to remember, and I had to remind myself of this, you cannot protect people from themselves. If they are bringing too much drama into your life, close the door on the drama. I haven't had to do it very often, but I've had to with a few people say, I'm not dealing with you anymore. You're not interested in changing. I'm not interested in dealing with it. Okay, but there's no polite way to put it. Now, of course, when I was a lot younger, a good friend of mine at the time turned around and says, Keith, you gotta learn tact. And I looked at her rather confused. I went, tact? And she goes, yeah, the ability to tell somebody where to go and have them look forward to the trip. I says, I've only got one problem with that. If I'm mad enough to tell somebody where to go, why do I care if they look forward to the trip? Like, where's my motivation to even bother trying to be subtle about it? This is the same thing, LA, that you'll find with Frank. If he no longer has to worry about whether he's going to hurt their feelings, you can bet your bottom dollar he'll make sure his are stable, and he won't do it right in front of you. He'll take them and take them or you to the other room, and then come back and deal with them. Okay. But they won't spend 10 minutes on the property. It's like, no, you've now worn out. You're welcome. Bye-bye. Thanks for playing. Now, bye-bye. You'll find your stress collapses. The other thing you will find is that the problems you've been having with your shoulders will collapse even before I get there. Okay. And that's where things will change for you. All in all, it's going to be quite a change. 2024 is shaping up to be a very interesting year. Okay, especially for those of you that are ready to evolve, not to the next dimension. You're not ascending to the next dimension. I'd love to say you are, and I can. Oh, you're ascending to the next dimension. You do realize you're in third dimension. You ascend to the fourth, and it will tear you apart. Okay, it's just that simple. Now, the same thing. Earth isn't going to all of a sudden jump to the fifth dimension either. I'd like to know how they were planning on doing that. But I can tell you it'll happen. Of course, I will tell you I'd have to lie to you. Okay, but what will happen, you start removing the negative energies, you start altering the energy around you that dissuades the negative stuff from being there, and all you're going to be left with is a very happy life. Okay, because if something's making you unhappy and you alter it so it's no longer making you unhappy, all that you're left with is a happy life. Okay, I've been eliminating things like I was striving to bring my sugar level into balance. It's a funny thing. Don't put sugar in your system or things that convert to sugar immediately. All of a sudden, you don't have a problem there. Now, I clearly came into this world to experience life from a very cynical outlook. You know how you're told as you get older, your eyes will fail? Well, I'll tell you, you take some of the medications they've got, and your eyes will certainly fail. Okay, but it's mindset. Now, do not get me wrong. Some of you have developed things like glaucoma or blindness to one degree or another. It may be that it's already gone beyond the point of usefulness. That is all you got to do there. LA, you are in the third dimension. Whatever is visible here whatever is experienceable, I don't think that's a word. Whatever you're able to experience is taking place in the third dimension. Now, the one qualifier I will put in here is I see it very black and white. But many of you may be looking at vibratory rate as an actual dimension. I'm telling you, and you'll figure this out in about 100 years or so, as near as I can calculate, that vibratory rate is not a new dimension. It is a new vibratory rate. And the variations in that are infinite. But you worry about you simply look at it. When something vibrates fast enough you can't see it, then it's doing great. And that's where it is vibrating beyond the optical reference or beyond the auditory one. But it's still third dimension. Okay, your contract is to glean as much information as you can while you're here in this corporeal life. Now, in my case, one of the things I clearly desired to do was figure out how much sleep was actually required. Okay. Ultimately, LA, that is exactly what he does. He increases his vibratory rate so you can't see him anymore. Bilocation, and in my case, I've even pulled off trilocation, is very doable. Okay. But we are not talking about dimensional travel. We are talking about simply moving so fast that somebody can't see you, that the optical receptors aren't working that well. But as you eliminate the things you're not content with, what you're going to be left with is a world that you are happy with. Okay, hopefully this is making sense. And for pity's sakes, guys, if you've got a question, absolutely throw it into the chat room. I keep my eye open on it as best I can. Okay. I just happen to have gotten a little more organized on what I was doing, primarily because of the fact that much as I can, I can deal with things, at 2 hours at a stretch. It is far easier for me to deal with things if somebody pops a question in that they're looking for guidance on. I know that's weird. So many people will go, I'm here to tell my story. Well, my story is, in my eyes, pretty boring. However, if you want a glimpse at my past lives, stumbled across this one by accident. When I first wrote this series, okay, a girlfriend at the time told her, she looked at the synopsis that's in the first appendix, which is the original story I wrote. And she goes, "This doesn't read like a story, Keith." She goes, "This looks more like an autobiography." And the more I look at it, the more I realize she may not have been that far off the beaten track. But take a look at where your life is. Now, LA has a very simple little problem, and there is no doubt the storm is going to back you up on there, LA. Okay, and rest assured, when I come down there, we're going to show you a couple of things about what you can do with the energy you already possess. Okay, last time I was down there, which was years ago, I was still realistically hiding from the world. I'm no longer aiming to do that. On the other hand, I'm not about to walk into the middle of the city and go, watch me levitate above the city. Not going to happen. I'm not pulling that kind of a stunt. Okay, I will leave that for stage magicians. Okay, but accelerating individual people's healing, that I am quite willing to show people how to do. Because all I'm actually doing is reminding you how to do exactly what you already know. Okay, and again, maybe you came in to learn wisdom around, let's try, animal abuse. Okay, and maybe you've been having trouble finding a way to connect with it, but you stumble across an issue of seeing somebody beat the stuffing out of an animal. Now you can, oh well, no, don't do that. I ran a series of plantations, and I remember coming home one day, and one of my workers was beating the stuffing out of one of my slaves. So I immediately stopped the shenanigans, had the slave cut down, sent him off to get dealt with. Then I had the worker that had been beating the heck out of my slave, had him strung up, and I beat him myself. And all I told him was, look, nobody abuses my property but me. I said, it's not going to happen again. And this was just the way I did it. Well, in today's world, beating people is just flat out wrong. Okay? It's just plain wrong. And I will not back the idea up, except in writing, because I will tell you. Okay, I will tell you wholeheartedly that these books, okay, are very graphic, very violent. Okay, it's a good thing I'm a pacifist. I gotta go and talk to my printer tomorrow, because I got the third one of these coming out as soon as I get done writing it, but I know the artwork's been sent in. But it really does boil down to this. Okay, your spiritual contract is whatever you came to learn. Now, it's kind of like going to university in a physical sense. You go into university or go into college to learn something, get partway through learning it and go, this isn't all as I thought it was. So I'm changing majors. Same thing with a spiritual contract. You have total control over whether you stay on that one. So hopefully that makes sense. I must have buried that. This is just one of those things I look at going, how do we go from there? Okay. Now, take a look at your contract. What is missing in your life? Doesn't matter what it is. Maybe your eyesight has failed. Like my one thing that is obviously missing for me is my good eyes. Now, I did not lose my eyesight, in all fairness, because of a genetic disposition. I lost my eyesight because of a trailer hitch to the eyeball. Tell you that screws up your vision. So now I'm in the process of repairing it. And the minute I quit taking the medication that was accentuating my blindness, all of a sudden my eyes are starting to heal. I can once again, it doesn't sound like much, but when I look at the monitor now, I can once again see the whites of my own eyes. And you'll notice my glasses are missing. So much better than going like this. Well, can't see, so let's just lean right up. Not much point at this point, because now I am starting to see better. Not to the point that it's safe for me to drive without glasses. Okay, although that would be entertaining. I just recommend, I think if I ever have to drive without glasses, I think I'll just use the sidewalk. Not near as many vehicles to worry about. But take a look at the path your life is on. Are you content with it? Your life contract was literally a goal set for you by you before you were even conceived. Okay. And that contract, now that you're here, now that you know what you've got for skills, what you've got for physical abilities, now you can decide whether or not that's going to work. Like, for instance, maybe you came into this world going, I desire to be a world-class athlete and take the 400-meter sprint and wipe the record out with it. Only when you were born, accidents happen, and you end up coming out with one leg significantly shorter than the other. You're not breaking that 4-minute mile or 3.5-minute mile, whatever it is. It's not going to happen. Now you got to find a different thing to focus on. Okay, I spent 55 years hiding from the world, hiding from life. Now I'm focusing on getting all of this information on paper so other people can read it. On paper, or failing that, on digital. Okay, and I already have had a couple of offers on getting it moved to PDF, getting it moved to auditory. So we're going to be looking into that as well. By the way, newsflash, coloring books are not going to come out in audio form. Murray, how you doing? Glad you could join us. It has been a while since I've seen you in here, so I hope things are going well. What have we got? Playing some WWE. Oh, playing some. Okay. It's my ability to read that I question. Yeah, I finally actually stopped playing Skyrim. The copy of Skyrim I had, 4 of the main goals of the main storylines collapsed and won't run. So I just said enough is enough. Let's cancel it. And now I'm starting to figure out how to play Baldur's Gate. I am trying to enter the 21st century. Not doing well at it by making, here we are, almost a quarter of a century into the 21st century. And now I'm starting to get moving on it. Okay, again, it boils down to this. Your contract is for you to figure out who you are, figure out what gets your attention and makes you content. Anything that isn't working towards that, it's time to alter that energy. Christine, how are we doing? Glad you could join us. The neat part about it is the more that you focus on you and the more you know about you, the easier it's going to be to help other people. Kind of a nice little trade-off in my eyes. I gotta quit moving my head so much. Otherwise, I'm going to get myself dizzy, and that's not necessarily a good thing. But we are looking at a very big change happening. Okay, and now what we're looking at is a really neat little setup. Okay, the whole catch to the contract that you signed was you set it up so you had a series of things to do to bring awareness to yourself. That was the primary drive of it. Oh, Storm, it's on which mods. I actually had because I had the one set up for 5e. It's a question of I've been playing it for years. I almost beat it once and then had a stroke. Right. But the whole Dragonborn storyline collapsed. It won't run on my machine anymore. Neither will the Bard's College. Let's see. And of course, there was one. What was I trying to eliminate? Yeah, the Bard's College, the Dragonborn main line. I ended up not running into a problem. Yeah, probably can, but I just finished telling my kid to delete the whole thing. I never, in all fairness there, Storm, never even thought about that option. But I've been playing it for years and, frankly got to a point. I'll see with him. I'll talk to my son afterwards. Matter of fact, give me 5 seconds. Well, probably closer to about a half minute by the time I get back. You may be, I don't know. Sit on it for a bit. And we are back. Probably about 30 seconds. I don't know. Oh, where are we? Oh, Joe, the spirits are talking to me 90% of the time. That's the neat part about it. Whoa, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the one I found there, whoa, is it turns out when my throat seizes, I end up losing at least one extra day. You know, because what happens is it not only shuts the throat down, but it seems to screw up the oxygen intake, which, by the way, plays havoc with your energy levels. But when you take a look at the way your world is running, if you're not content with part of it, the whole purpose overall for people to come to this world is to experience the material world with limited senses and to figure out how to work around them. Christine goes, off topic. I lost a ring my mom gave me. I wear it every day. I'm bummed. Feel like I shouldn't leave the house without it. Well, I wouldn't recommend that. But, and I don't think dealing with that right here is necessarily the right place to work with it. But, let's start with the obvious issue. When you look at it, Ferret, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Okay, gonna have to slow that down for a second. There we go. Christine, do you remember where the last place was you saw it? Where you remember seeing that ring? Just a curiosity thing, where and when would be the real questions. And by the way, well, I will tell you, I've had to deal with ear infections in this house, and nobody enjoys them. Whatever counter it was on, take a look at the left-hand edge of the counter against the back wall. Okay, as far back under the counter as you can get, under the counter or under the table. Okay, in the back left corner is likely where you'll find the thing sit. Ear infections are just a royal pain in the neck. Or more, well, they are, but they're a pain in the ear too. Oh, you would love the video I saw the other day. That just today or yesterday, saw a guy. He was, he had this little 3-year-old girl and daughter running out in the field, and two, it was actually otters were running beside her, just as though they were all part of the same family, except she was moving a lot slower. You're welcome, Christine. Cowie, in a manner of speaking, the answer is yes. Yeah, now, sorry, you're getting it out from underneath there. Now you know where it is. Now you can get a hold of the thing. this is, I wasn't planning on doing that. That's for dang certain. But this is why I said, guys, I've been doing that kind of work since I was 10 years old. And that being said, if you've got anything, and I mean literally any questions, if you look at the link at the top of the stream here, where it says buy me a coffee, there is a way of getting a hold of me, because I do too, but that's another issue altogether. I do consult personal and business. I've been doing it now for since 83, so 83, 47 years now. I've been in 37 years, I'm doing it professionally. Well, that's just it, Christine. I realize you weren't planning on asking. The reality is there are way too many people, and before you jump on anything to worry about, in a nutshell, yes, I did decide I was going back to doing the consulting work. Legitimately speaking, I have been literally paid $2,600 an hour for doing what I do. But I only actually charge at this point $20 for 15 minutes. So the reason for that is because the people that really require the assistance don't have $2,500 an hour. Okay, but the way to get a hold of me is right at the top under buy me a coffee. Or if you're looking for a slightly more direct method, where is my little link here? That one. This is the email address that will get to me in a hurry. This one right here. And all you do is drop me a line, and it's easy enough to set up. The nice little part about it is what like I've always said, and this is why I said before you jump on it there, Christine. Number one, I will tell you, I've never turned money down from anybody, but like I've said before, what I do on this stream, what I do in Positive Perspectives in the newsletter, I do for nothing. But I am very glad that worked out for you. See, now you can leave the house again. I don't know why you'd want to leave the house, but that's your issue. The nice part about it from that standpoint is that we are looking at a very simple situation. That is, I see the world in a different way than most people do, in case you haven't pieced it together. But I do it because it's what's necessary. Now with this in mind, again, when you're not content with the way your life is, get out of your own way. I hear I was told by my own parents and by many people, don't tell people what I do. I failed. I spent 37 years failing. Only now, instead of doing it and going, well, I'm just going to hide from people, I just figured I'd better come out and put my foot in my mouth. Nathan, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And where are we here? This is, nope, not that one. There. This is the link to Nathan's show. Okay, and that is tomorrow, actually, he comes back on. But drop in, give him a listen, do subscribe to the channel, and share the daylights out of the thing. Assuming, of course, you like what he has to say. Okay, because it's by sharing these connections that we are going to that things are going to work out for us. That we're going to take control of this world back to the common populace, instead of letting people continue blaming others. It's time we look in the mirror. Oh, Good point. Nathan's just going, uh-oh. No show tomorrow. Gotta work. Work has to come first. Because I don't know about you, Nathan, but I prefer a roof over my head. Oh, you mentioned that too. I was tied up gaming. Thursday's my gaming night. And sorry, short of a heart attack, very little gets in the way of that. But the nice part is that we are really, we are looking at this and life is changing very quickly. Where are we? Saturday, yeah. LA's going, Nathan broadcast yesterday, but we're back on March 16th. And March 16th, when the heck is March 16th? There we are. Oh, okay. Next Saturday. Speaking of which, on March 13th, I'll be in the rabbit hole with Raven. And no, I have no idea what we're discussing there. Okay. In all fairness, I haven't talked to her about what we're discussing there. What I am aware of is that we are starting to make headway. Okay. And this world is going to change. It's like I told somebody 30 years ago. The world around me is going to change. The question is, are you going to run with it or get out of the way and let it happen? Okay. Because I'm just not waiting for anybody to tell me whether I can do it or whether I can't. Bad Daddy, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I hope your day has been going well. The important factor that I've come across is so many people follow and they listen to people telling them this world's going to collapse. You're going to lose everything. You're going to die. We've got famine coming. We got another pandemic coming. I'm telling you guys, time to get off your tail feathers and start a pandemic. Just be nice to each other. Start a pandemic of camaraderie and smiles and friendly greetings. It's a weird concept. I know people go pandemic. We're all going to suffer miserably. The only people that suffer in a pandemic of smiles are the ones who have too much makeup on and the makeup cracks. Or if your skin's really, really, really bad. Okay, but on the whole, people don't complain about smiles. It's funny, I am looking forward to the trip down to Reno and the one down to Texas. I can't remember if I'm headed for North Carolina or South Carolina after that. But this year, for the first time in my life, I'm looking at being on the go. Okay, for a full month out of the year. Okay, I used to travel 2 and 3 weekends in a month when I was traveling with the psychic fairs because I used to work live all the way from the southwest corner of BC to the northeast corner of Edmonton. But again, I just came to the conclusion, not happy with the way my life is, time to change it. Same applies to yours. The contract you made with yourself, you can alter it anytime you're ready because it's with yourself. The trick is to realize that the one contract you cannot break, because it's literally born into you, is this internal compulsion to find all of the bits and pieces of you, to find all those forgotten memories. For some of you, that boils down to remembering what happened when you were abducted, what happened when you had a major fallout with somebody close to you. How do you put that back together? And yes, I have literally guided people on putting marriages torn apart by fidelity. Okay, I've taught people how to put them together. Okay, I could go on with an incredible list of things, but let's settle for the books I'm putting together. Okay, the 2 novels I've already shown you, I am working very hard to tie them off, to tie the 3rd one off. These 3 are the easy ones. Working on the 4th one now. Now that's believe in yourself. That's believe in your business. Nope, I lied. That's believe in your business. That's, can we think? What do you figure? I do believe that says believe in yourself and follow your dreams. This is believe in your business and follow your dreams. This is the one, if you're looking at running your own business, this is the one that lays out the basics on what I did. Okay. Then you've got believe in your finances and follow your dreams. I am in the process of writing believe in your job, because not all of us are geared up to run our own business. Okay. Sad to say, running a household is running a business. One of the things, yeah, Bad Daddy, I did. You know, if you take a look at that, right at the bottom here, okay, you'll notice right at the bottom, that's me. And I've actually got 7 books in print. That's Believe in Your Business. And again, the name's right at the bottom. And Believe in Your Finances. If you look at the top of the screen, you'll see the Buy Me a Coffee button. That's where you go to get a hold of these the easiest way. Now, I do have a website itself, and if you give me half a second. Whoop. That one. The website, this is also mine and about to be mine completely. But this is the website that you can also go to take a look at. That, you know, and the email address I posted a little higher, okay, is the one that is used not only to get directly to me, but it's the one that gets used for PayPal as well. And before anybody asks, no, I haven't gone to Amazon for a number of reasons. First and foremost, they buy me a coffee. Quite frankly, they take a very small percentage of what I actually sell. Very small percentage. I'm quite happy about that. And some of you have already bought books and what have you this year. Okay. And I am telling you, I mentioned a while back, probably really recent, but this neat little file here. This is what I call my one box. Okay. Word of mouth advertising. And I am really happy to say that when I mentioned that I will be sending checks out quarterly based on a sliding scale, I am really happy myself that in April of this year, I will be sending out, not big ones, but I will be sending out a few small checks, or more to the point, cash. I mean, they will be in check form, but they will be to individuals. Really, really happy. Okay, I'm happy because I said I desire this to happen, and it's happened. And I'm telling you, this same philosophy is, I mean, it really boils down to this. The contract I signed with me, the contract I came here to do, was enlighten as many people as I could so that you don't make the same mistakes I did. Okay, now I am not a financial advisor in as much as I've never been trained in school to do it. Okay, however, having made enough stupid moves and dumb investments, okay, I have learned bankruptcy is avoidable. I can show you almost regardless of what state you're in, like what situation you're in. I can guide you through it where bankruptcy becomes an option. Okay, now, like I said, don't take my word for it. Do your own research. But in my experience, what I found, okay, one of the things I found was that when you look at the whole idea of bankruptcy, the only person that benefits for you going bankrupt, there's 3 people involved: yourself, the person you went into debt to, and the bankruptcy trustee. Now, the only person that benefits from your going bankrupt, and again, don't take my word for it, is the bankruptcy trustee. You don't pay the debt you legitimately got into, whether or not you did it by a bad investment or by a sad turn of events, doesn't matter. The person that you borrowed the money from offered you the financing based on what they considered a decent debt, a decent decent option. They don't get their money. You don't pay your debt. The bankruptcy trustee will collect their money. Okay. I don't see how this becomes a win situation for you at all. I know it didn't for me. And get this. First time I went bankrupt was on a $6,000 debt. The second time was a $14,000 debt. Okay. Now, right now I'm about 40,000 in, based on what I owe the credit cards and the loan I've got. But I am now working to alter that. Okay. I am now shearing it off. Matter of fact, I'm going to make another payment today. That's just a question of the money's in the bank. I just have to move it. But the contract I came in with was this: build an ark, build a way for people to survive today's world. Okay, whatever situation people are going through, whether it is financial, whether it's personal health, whether it's the fact you can't find a restaurant that treats you properly. Okay, I'm going to have my fingers in as many things as I can get away with. Okay, the publishing company, I've already started. Okay, I've already started the thing. In as much as I've got 7 books out that I personally wrote. Okay, I do have one out that I did not write. I don't know if it's going to market yet. I won't know until I talk to my 2 brothers. Okay, when I talk to my 2 brothers face to face, that will tell me when I turn around. That will tell me whether or not my grandmother's autobiography hits the open market. That will depend entirely on my 2 brothers. I'm willing to put it out there, but they may feel it should be kept to us. If that's what they say, I'm not arguing it. I'm simply going with it. But I will tell you, this idea that I ran into, so many people I've talked to will say, "Oh, I've got a poem I would love to get and I would have loved to produce, but I've only got one. I'm putting a poetic anthology together now that literally will take on other people's writings." Because so many people have a single poem or a single short story they would like to get in print. And too many of the big companies go, "It's not good enough. It's not long enough." I'm telling you, I'm not going to tell you it's not good enough. I may tell you I won't print it. But I will also encourage you to find somebody that will, if that's the case. Okay. Topics to stay away from. Okay. Is I won't publish a book with graphic adult only focus in it. Okay. Won't do it. I will not publish anything that details how to overthrow a government or how to overthrow a company. Not going to do it. Okay. But this doesn't mean they aren't good stories. Okay. I mean, you take a look at it. Helter Skelter was a phenomenal story from what I gather. I personally never actually read it, but I wouldn't have published it anyway. Fabulous story. Very well written. Not about to deal with it. Okay. This said, if you're interested, and like I said, I will have a price where it comes to the poems. That's the easy part. One poem, okay, a letter stating that poem is your original work, okay, and that I have permission to reprint it in whole or in part, as is, okay, and $20 Canadian, okay, not only will I put it in print, but you'll get a copy, you'll get a single copy of the book free. Well, free, you're paying for it, okay, but it will be in your hand. Okay, and this is just something I'm working on. It dawned on me, way too many people have these stories they would like to put out. Okay, so I'm building a company that will accommodate the little people. Okay, I've already got a restaurant named and designed. I just don't have the funding to open it, and I sure as heck ain't going to be cruel enough to cook. You know, from my way of thinking, it's great to own a restaurant, great to know what you're doing with it. I'm not cruel enough to cook for you. Okay, heck, I barely cook for my own kids. Thankfully, my eldest actually likes cooking. But the contract you've got says you came into this world to accomplish something. Maybe you're an artist wannabe, and I call it an artist wannabe because you haven't figured out that you can grab a bucket of paint, walk towards a sheet that's hung on the wall, trip, and slap it up against the wall, put a frame around it, and call it art. Works well. That is possible, Bad Daddy. The one thing about an investor, I will absolutely take investment, but what I won't do is sell the rights to my ability, and to what I'm seeing. Not going to happen. It was funny when I first learned how to put my books together. I'm referring to my financial books. The accountant that was showing me how to do it, he says, yeah, having books in place is a good thing if you ever want to sell your business. Wait a minute. You're going to have a heck of a time selling your business. Right? He says, you are your business. The ability you have is the thing you work with. And it is. I work with a lot of different tools. I can't speak for everybody, Joe, but yes, stress does cause a biomagnetic field, a biomagnetic burst that can interrupt electronics. And when we're talking stress, usually it's negative stress. Positive stress, usually, like if somebody gets excited, usually doesn't have that impact. Oh, that's always fun, Bad Daddy. Hopefully not while you're trying to utilize them. But yes, a biomagnetic flux will affect electrical equipment. Okay, fortunately, as far as I'm concerned, thus far, I haven't stopped anybody's pacemakers or any aircraft, or for that matter, other vehicle from operating. Although I did jumpstart a car without battery cables one day. That was fun. The look on their face was priceless. If I seem a little lost, it's only because I couldn't remember where I put this. Nice part about this is that that's just water. Of course, it used to be I drink something like that, full of alcohol. Now, not anymore. I used to have a clock that was built backwards, Ferret. Actually, I'm going to go and find one. I like the way they look, where it literally runs backwards. But then I see the world a little twisted. That's the only time that you can make time go backwards is if you've got a watch, and the old wind-up ones were easier to make go backwards. The modern ones, you can't even backset the time on them. When you get into digital, you got to go forward all the way around to get it to go backward. But I will tell you, I came into this world well, now you know, Ferret. Couldn't figure out. I figured out why I'm always late. I can't track time at the best of times. But, I mean, if you think the mechanical watches are bad, you should have tried them when we had the portable sun watches, sundials. That was another issue altogether. They didn't sell all that well, though. It's funny. I knew a guy that, again, and we're talking centuries back now, that actually tried selling. Um, you know, it wasn't a question he sold ones on the wrist. He sold ones on a lanyard, where he'd sell these things. He'd say they keep perfect time. There's no problem. Of course, he neglected to mention they have to be stable, but he did make a killing. Yeah, and unfortunately, there, Ferret, no doubt, if you can't track time, you're going to have, you keep losing track of what time it is, you're not going to make your appointments on time. I just find it amazing that with all the newfangled technology for keeping people on time, for getting alarms set and what have you, the number of people that are late for their jobs or are late for appointments is mind boggling. Okay, with all the advancements, you'd think something would have twigged, but no, can't do that. LA goes, I've seen Storm threaten to axe a motherboard computer, and it behaved the way it was supposed to after refusing. Yep. Well, this is why with Frank we've got a Techromancer. Now, am I a Techromancer? No, I'm a Tech Annihilator. They can be working perfectly, and I can walk by them, and the poor things have a heart attack. I watched a guy one day on YouTube. He was having troubles with his daughter, and she was avoiding everything. He finally got fed up with it, and on TV, on the computer, on Facebook, he filmed the whole thing, and he took a shotgun to the, I think it was a shotgun. No, it was a 44 Magnum. He took to the motherboard of his daughter's laptop. And he goes, this is big, he says, this is what you've been told, this is what you've repeatedly refused to do, and it's all because of this. So, and he loads the thing right there on the show, on his feed, and pulls the trigger. He emptied the entire clip into the computer, right? And then sent her a video of it. Sent her a video on her. I don't know if it was on somebody else's laptop or what. Certainly wasn't on hers. And said, this is because you wouldn't do what you had to. Now, I will tell you this. When people reach out and are asking me how to deal with a setup, to me, it really doesn't matter if people follow it. Okay. It really boils down to this. If you desire your life to be turned around, you're going to have to do the work. And the reality is, this is the way I am. You'll find, for those of you that actually get the dubious results of meeting me in Reno, you'll find I'm still the same way. Okay. I have a very simple outlook on life. I will answer questions. I just don't worry too much about whether they're what people want to hear. I remember just about 4 or 5 months back, my ex-wife asked me, she looks at me and she goes, why are our two kids so sarcastic? I looked at her, I shrugged, I went, I don't know, proper training? Apparently that was the wrong answer. It was the right answer in as much as it was honest. But you've got a contract with you, okay, to make this life, to make this the best life you absolutely can. The best life for you while following 3 karmic laws. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. and energy out, energy in. You follow those three karmic laws, you find all the parts of you. Acknowledge, Henry, how you doing? Glad you could join us. It has definitely been a while. I'm starting to think I did something wrong. No, hopefully your life has been treating you well. I'm a firm believer, that when you take a look at the way your life is, if you're not content with it, then it is up to you to pick up whatever tools are available. Okay. Now, it was funny. I went into a bank a while ago, into the bank that I deal with. And I asked the guy, and this would be a couple of years back. And I asked him, I said, do you by any chance have a true savings account? And he goes, yeah, we absolutely do. And bear in mind, I talked to the manager. And he says, yeah, he says it doesn't pay much, but it is a true savings account. I looked at him, I said, really? I said, you're sure it's a savings account? He says, yeah. He says it only pays 0.25%. But he said, like I said, it doesn't make much. But it is a savings account. I said, really? I said, think about this for just a second. You're telling me I put $100 in the bank and I leave it there. At the end of the year, you're going to give me 25 cents back. He says, yeah, that's true. I says, well, here's the thing. He says, like I said, it doesn't pay much. I says, true. But here's what you're not telling the customer. You're going to charge me $10 a month to have that account. Now, this means I put $100 in. You're charging me $120. And even if we take into consideration you giving me the 25 cents back, I'm down $119.75. Care to explain the savings? Well, I kid you not. Less than 2 years later, there is a savings account in the bank, okay, where I pay no service charges. It still pays minimal interest, but I pay no service charges. Okay, this is what can happen. But you gotta have the backbone to stand up and put your foot in it. I have a bad habit of calling people on the garbage that they tell me. And yeah, I realize that's not a polite way to put things, but hey, what the heck? Yeah, what are we sitting at? I'm just curious what my stream is doing here. I just refresh it once in a while to take a peek at it and see if it's changed. Oh, okay. So again, guys, if you're liking the stream, absolutely, be on, and be nice if you would. Give us a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of the thing. Because working together, we are going to make this a better world for virtually everybody. I will be implementing a charity, but the charity, when I build it, the cost of it will be absorbed. 100% of the operating cost will be taken out of my income, not out of the donations. The best charity I've seen. Okay, I researched a lot of them. And the best one I've seen, I can't tell you what the name of it was, took 30% of the invested dollars and put them into the charity, got it to the actual charity. The rest was absorbed by administration costs. I won't do that. Okay, I'm just not about to do that. The administration costs will be covering the cost of the charity. Okay, it's just that simple. But the way it's going to work, and this is already laid out in the works, it's just waiting for me to generate a high enough income that I've actually got 10% that I can do. Okay, because what will happen, like I said, it will cover my net profit, or it comes out of my net profit, meaning, as per karmic law, and do unto others, be true to yourself first. Meaning, yes, I will be taking 10% of my net profit from my company and putting it towards charity, being buying people a meal, buying groceries, taking food down to the SPCA, or, and I forget the kind of what the company is, but the international one. Okay, but I will be dealing with food. I will not be turning money over to people living on the street. Food, certainly, because some of them out there are legitimately in trouble. I certainly will not be taking any of the money and donating it to a church or to a registered charity. Okay, won't be happening. I also won't be opening a nonprofit organization. And here's the key. The key is in the name, nonprofit. I do what I do on screen on this stream on Positive Perceptions. What I do is free. What I do, the information I put out in Positive Perspectives, is free. Now, a lot of the information coming out in the newsletter, and here for that matter, will be available through these books or ones like these. Or, of course, these ones here worked out nicely. Of course, these two are children's books. Again, this one was written for my eldest son when he was all of 2. This one was written for my youngest son. Okay, again, these are all books I've personally written, and I'm only writing right now, I think, 33 concurrently that I'm actively putting a lot of effort into right now. I've got 8 that I'm putting the real solid effort into. The rest of them I'm working on. But they will be coming online as quick as I can get them. But only when they're complete. I'm done with the idea of going, oh, I'll have it out next month. I've already done that and didn't work out all that well. So from my standpoint, it boils down to this. The whole thing about the contract, I avoided mine with a vengeance. I hid from the world. I hid from people altogether. And of course, I kept telling myself, if I hide and give them a little bit of time, they'll figure it out. Wrong. Thanks for playing. Reality check. I just finished publishing my grandmother's autobiography 100 years ago. Okay. What was going on 100 years ago with the way immigrants were being treated, with the way that the government was making promises and not following through with them. The same thing to the letter is happening now, a century later. Okay, it is up to you, it is up to me to stop this from continuing. Okay, we're talking just 100 years ago. The government was breaking their promises. Talk to the people that went through it. People were treating new immigrants into the country with absolute disgust. They're still doing it today. Check the mirror, guys. No matter what your skin color, you still got 2 eyes, 1 nose, 2 ears, 1 mouth. And yet, in spite of the fact that you've got double up on all of your input, 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, your mouth, in most people's cases, is still going on hyperdrive without paying attention. The contract you had, and everyone's got the same one. Okay, you all came to experience the physical world with a limited set of senses. Okay, you all came here to remember exactly who and what you are, and thereby do unto others as you desire them to do. Actually, that's number 2. And be true to yourself first. Make sure you take care of you financially, spiritually, physically, health-wise, the whole 9 yards before you try taking care of everybody else. Because I'm telling you, if you put everything out there to help other people, especially if you're trying to protect them from themselves, the odds are it's not going to work well. Okay, but do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. You desire to be treated with respect. I have never met a single individual that goes, oh, please kick me while I'm down because I'm miserable and I want to stay that way. I have yet to see anybody go, no, don't give me food. I'm starving to death, but let me die. Except for the ones that are in extreme depression. Those ones, yeah, they pretty much pull that off. Okay, but we start treating each other regardless of the way we are, of what we've been through. Everybody's got their hiccups. Your contract, figure out who and what you are. Okay, you can change your primary focus, just like changing a major in university. Now, my primary focus, the massive majority of my life, was hide from people, stay away from them. And of course, I had to come up with all kinds of excuses until lockdown happened. And then they said, the government says, stay home, stay away from people, and drink lots of warm liquids. I'm going, I don't want to leave the house. Don't like being around a lot of people. Got a 30-cup urn. I'm good. Come to think of it, I think that's an investment I'll go back and make. I've got a 12-cup pot right now. I've only been through three pots today. In other words, yes, that means 36 cups. Ish. Okay. Well, in my case, probably closer to 24 when you take a look at the size of my cup. Okay, and that's small compared to what I used to work with. But the contract that you have. Ange, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I trust your day has been going well. I know mine's been all over the place, and I'm still just gearing up. We got about 20 minutes left here, and then I'll be back at it again. Okay, I'm expecting to be up until well after midnight tonight. Which is neat considering when did I get up this morning? 5 o'clock, I think. Yep, got up at 5 this morning. But I came to the conclusion that, that it's time to make things change. And this is why I'm saying, I will absolutely tell you guys, it's because of you, this little microcosm of a world that we have in this chat room is why I am still doing things. Took a lot of pushing on the people from Spaced Out Radio, on the part of the people from Spaced Out Radio. Okay, but I can honestly say that I'm glad you guys pushed. Now, this is actually, where is it? This is the link to Spaced Out Radio. Okay, this is where the mainstream sort of, really began. It's not the first time that I was on air. Okay, years and years ago, I was on Hazy Radio a number of times. And I used to have a regular show on KGRA radio. Okay, but that was years back. Okay, I will continue evolving things now. The thing is, I came here to do a very simple job, a very simply stated job, to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, the neat part about it, as much as it is an extremely daunting project, because we've got so many people looking in the mirror going, I'm not good enough, or whatever term they use. Okay. Now, here's the thing. This neat little sign. I'm just waiting for it to warm up, and I'm going to start working on something. Okay. These 4 words. I am worth it. That is bottom line. That is what I'm here to remind you. Okay. And in all fairness, to remind myself. Okay, but I will tell you, in order to make this happen, one person is not going to change the world. Yeah, no doubt, Bad Daddy. Way too many go, do unto others as you think they're going to do unto you, but do it first and then split. This is wrong. Okay, the only time where that becomes viable is in writing. Okay, in writing stories, science fiction. And I don't mean writing stories based on reality. I mean your science fiction, your science fantasy, your comics, this sort of writing. Okay, violence and misbehavior, that goes hand in hand. Violence is acceptable in movies, in books, in mutually agreed upon combat sports like the MMA, boxing. Absolutely, if you're both going, I want to go in there and beat on each other, hey, have a happy. In real life, no functional place for it. Okay, and rest assured, this lifetime, I'm absolutely a pacifist. This does not mean I don't have a temper. I am not perfect by any functional stretch. Okay, and I will tell you, well, yeah, my arms are not long enough. This neat little book, if you look at the way this one's written, bear in mind it's post-apocalyptic. This guy here, this is Jeremiah Wolfstrand. He is the primary protagonist. Now, here's the thing. In the second chapter of that book, he goes into a fight 10-1 odds against him. 7 go away dead, 2 go away really badly wounded, 1 walks away safe. Jeremiah is the pacifist in the party. Okay. And, the rest of the party makes Jeremiah look very peaceful. Not really surprising when you think about it. But, needless to say, in my mind, I've seen some pretty horrendous things. But many people have said thinking about doing something is as bad as doing it. If that's the case, this world is already over. You came here for one purpose. Figure out all of who you are. The good, the bad, and the neutral. But remember, okay, it's imperative you are dead honest with you. And keep in mind what the people around you see. Because remember, they may not all agree with your outlook on life. And sometimes it's better to just clam up and not tell them. Okay, as it was put to me one day, your friends don't require an explanation, and nobody else deserves it. The only reason for explaining yourself is frankly to make yourself feel better. Thanks so much for joining us, Ferret. And yes, sooner or later I will get back down to the island. I just don't know when. It likely won't be this year. I got too much on the go right now. But I have to come back down, if for no other reason, to go to George's. I will absolutely do that, Ferret. But thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I really appreciate it. There is so much to do in this world, so much potential, that we really can turn this world around. But we're going to have to work at it and make it happen. One of the things we have to remember is you came here for a reason. You're the one that chose, as a spirit, to come here. Now, granted, some of you are going through some pretty horrendous experiences right now. Okay? And nobody in their right mind asks to go through the kind of struggle that many of us have gone through. Not from a cognitive human standpoint. But every one of us chose to experience it one way or the other. Okay? Now, this lifetime, I'm doing it a little different. I've done it before where I came in to show people and to just simply tell people one simple statement. Be nice to each other. That didn't work out all that well. Okay, I spent about 40 years in the Roman Senate, trying to teach the senators, the seniors, how to be nice to each other, to warn them the path they were on was going to fall apart. They didn't pay attention. They ended up with a revolt. They were warned about it, but they ended up with it anyway. You guys have the same capacity to alter the path that the world is on right now. You guys working together, taking this message forth from this channel, starting here. And I'm not the only one telling people to be nice. I'm just the only one that happens to be me. Okay. There are other people doing the same thing. I hear a lot of people are working behind the scenes. I just came to the conclusion that working behind the scenes wasn't fulfilling my contract. My contract was to come forward, turn the light on and say, hey guys, there's a pit in front of you. You might want to change direction. Of course, most people are kind of like lemmings. First one goes off the cliff into the pit, and a whole pile of others come running after him. Or her. Okay. But I've tried sitting behind the scenes. I'm waiting for things to happen. I found 3 types of people in this world. Those that make, and 1% make things happen. They go, I see a problem here. I'm doing something about it. Then you get about 4% that will join in. Okay. And they will go, okay, let's, this one person is starting to do something. Let's get on board, take that as a lead, and let's start things changing. It's that 4% I'm seeking. Because the other 95%, well, I guess you get about another, that's 5, but another 25% of people watch what happened. Okay, so we got about 30%, which means about 70% of the human population sits there and wonders what happened. Okay, and I tell you, for an educational system that's supposed to be the best in the world, I'll tell you, there are ducks that have more brains. Okay, but it's time we start that I step out of the shadows and go, it's time to make this work. Okay, and this is why I say I am now opening the doors. I am doing the consulting now. The writing's going to continue. The stream is going to continue. And unless I drop dead, the whole 9 yards is going to continue. The hardest part in all of it is for people to realize, in polite terms, I'm not changing a whole lot. I'm the same way I was when I was a kid. I remember being in Sunday school and calling the Sunday school teacher on what was being taught. That went over like a lead balloon. I remember calling a lot of people on things I shouldn't have. Probably were, Henry. A lot of us were. And of course, the reality is, Henry, just because I'm blunt, if you're interested in helping, absolutely drop me a line. I will more than readily, but now do understand, I work on a simple issue. I do not pay people for their help. I pay people for results. Okay, it's that simple. But if you're interested, because most of what I do here is free. Okay, but if you're interested, drop me a line at the email. Where is it? I just got to pull it up here. I've put it up a couple of times, but this one here. Tell you, I do not work quickly with computers. But drop me an email at this site or you can buy me a coffee link. It can be done there as well. Okay, if you're interested in giving me a hand, I can absolutely point you in the right direction. And that goes for any one of you. Okay, but like I said, I pay for results. I do not pay for hourly work. And the reason for that is simple. I have found that the majority of people, number one, there's no way of proving it. Number two, I figured out how to do it in a much more profitable fashion for everybody. I'm done with the idea of going, hey, I know people, people will say, oh, I'll do this for you for X dollars. Not going to happen. Way too many people have done that. Way too many. Net result, I have literally ended up spending thousands of dollars on some of the biggest marketing companies available. Okay. And turned around and went, okay, I gave you money. You said you were doing this. You took my money. You didn't do it. It was amazing. I had one company just the other day phone me up and go, it's been 3 years. This was a company that was supposed to be dealing with my books. She phones me up and she goes, we're just calling because it's been 3 years since you put an order in with us. And I looked at her and I said, well, I thank you for confirming the fact that the company you're working for is absolutely incompetent. I said, it's nothing against you. I don't know you from Adam. I said, but the reality is 3 years ago, I pulled every one of my contracts because the company you're working for didn't do a thing. Okay, they didn't do a thing for me, period. I said, there is not a prayer I will ever come back to your company, nor will I ever promote it. Okay. And she goes, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I said, I don't blame you. I said, I don't blame you at all. But no, I will not be working with another company like that. I have had several companies do the same thing. I'm now building my own. Okay, it's that simple. And I refuse to do to other people, other potential artists of any form. I refuse to do that to anybody because I've been through it. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. I knew a young lass one day, she came to me and she says, I'd really like to sing in front of 50,000 people. I said, okay, well, why don't we make it happen? She goes, you can't do that. And bear in mind, I am not overly well connected. And, she says, well, you can't do that. I says, how about if we don't discuss what I can't do? Okay. Now, the nice part about it, she was correct. I didn't put her in front of 50,000 people. I only put her in front of 34. Okay. So, from that standpoint, she was correct. But 34 in my eyes wasn't a bad run. Okay. Had a lady come to me that was stuck in a wheelchair. I didn't know at the time that she'd been in it for 3.5 years. But in about 3.5, 4 hours of work, we pulled her out of the wheelchair. Okay. And I told her flat out when I was working on her, she says, I worked on her. I says, okay, get up. She goes, I can't stand up. I says, how about if we don't discuss what you can't do and you just stand up? If your legs work, you're standing. If they don't, you're still sitting in the wheelchair. Well, she stood up. That was the last time she was in the wheelchair. And a year later, I ran into her on a cane. And turned out, that's when I found out she'd been trapped for 3.5 years. Okay. But nobody bothered telling me I couldn't pull it off. Okay. It's like when my father-in-law, he's passed away now. He had dropped into a coma for 6 weeks. Okay. To the point the doctor said, give him his last rites, we're losing him. I was asked to do what I could. So I went into the hospital room. Okay, his wife asked me to help. Told her I'm not going to promise anything. I'll do what I can, but I'm not promising a thing. The following morning, the guy sits up. Okay, wide awake. First words out of his mouth, I'm hungry. Okay, only thing he lost was the fact he'd been in a coma for 6 weeks. Now, he did eventually die 17 years later. the list of what I've seen happen has been, shall we say, remarkable. And I'm telling you, every one of you has an ability that we can access, that you can access. But it starts with believing that it's possible, not believing you're the best in the world, because frankly, you're no better than anybody else. I'm no better than any of you. The last thing I desired to be was put on a pedestal. Okay. And as one person put it, they looked at me and went, Keith, you can't stop people from putting you on a pedestal, but it's imperative you never see yourself on said pedestal. Okay. You came to this world to remember who and what you're capable of. Now, what would you do if I told you that I'm sitting on information that can show you how to break your addictions without withdrawals, how to drop weight without medication? And bear in mind, this is all in conjunction with modern medicine or the modern naturopaths. This is not a bypass to tell the world, go climb a tree. I found a way I can do it on my own. This is categorically a bad idea. Work with the tools available. Okay. If you can't reach the top shelf on a shelving unit, get a ladder or ask somebody for help. As one person I knew put it, all people are not created equal, but there are equalizers. If you're too short, there are ways of dealing with it. If you're too tall, you might have other issues. Oh, there we are. Yeah, I kind of figured that. Yeah. Whoa, that is absolutely fantastic. 21 days and you lost 10 pounds. This is fantastic speed. Okay, what I found, actually, that's a little faster than what I recommend personally. Okay, but I find if you're losing a pound to a pound and a half a week, you're doing good. And now mind you, from what I gather, you can drop a lot of weight in a hurry to start with, but you'll find a whole lot of things that all of a sudden happen. Number one, you cut back on that amount of candy, but okay. My next goal is quite frankly to try to tone up my abdomen. I've dropped in the last 2 years 60 pounds. I am not unhappy about that, but now it's time to tone it. Yeah, grief can do that. With stubborn disposition in my case. I hit 246 and went, I am not breaking 250. I'm now bouncing around the 190 mark. Nice. Yeah, I used to, I'd grown my waist all the way to a 38. I am now down to a nice fitting 34. Cannot complain. And I'll tell you, my legs colliding is not as painful anymore, although it still falls down a lot. Now, with that in mind, we are hitting the 2-hour mark here. And I will tell you, tonight has been, to say the least, who goes? 38 what I'm trying to get back to. You can do it, Woo. There is no question there. I do have to say, guys, thank you so much for sharing your time with me today. I really do appreciate it. I wish I could be a little more consistent on saying, yeah, I'll be here on each day, but needless to say, my energy levels are still a bit of a hiccup. With this in mind, I will be back. Okay, tomorrow we are dealing with, what are we dealing with tomorrow? Tomorrow is Saturday. Oh, tomorrow We are dealing with the material world and building the new you. Okay, co-creating the new you. Now, with that said, I will be back. Until then, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.